Some people just don't like the music. Some people love the music. So if you don't like the music, then it's your lucky day. If you love the music, it's time to dance in our head, right? We can do a little bit of that. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about peptides. It's all the rage. It's been around for many years. I got lots of questions. I don't know about you, but today we are going to learn about peptides. So fasten your seatbelts because we're going to learn and grow together. And this is where we cue the music and everybody dances. But today we're going to go right into this classroom because this is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, if you're watching later on YouTube or in podcast, always know that you are welcome to join the classroom where all the teachers' pets get to join in. All my listening and viewing friends get to join in, ask questions, and interact. So today we are talking about, and you can join in at Lillian's radio show. So go to facebook.com/Lillian's radio show. So today, board certified health coach and CEO of Live Longer Medical, Lisa Geyer, has brought a friend, someone that she relies on when she wants to learn about a new healing modality or a new program that she's bringing to the classroom. She's going to share a little bit about Linda Hayes, who is a PharmD. So she has been working with peptides for quite some time now and is going to be sharing what peptides are. So just so that you guys know, if you don't know what a peptide is, don't worry, because this is going to be Peptides 101 and why they are beneficial. So since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am ecstatic that Lisa Geyer of Live Longer Medical and Linda Hayes of Pure RX Compounding are here to do just that. Welcome, ladies, to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to be here, Lillian.
Yes, great to be here.
Yeah, so this is like going to be a conversation with three friends because peptides, I've been hearing more and more about peptides. And Lisa, why did you choose this topic? What is it about it that intrigued you to say, I want to do this as well?
2 years ago, I heard a couple of speakers at a conference, medical conference, and they started talking about peptides. And it really made me do a little bit of research. At first, I thought, wow, that sounds unique. But it really was curious for me. So I started taking more and more coursework, and then actually just finished a certification through the International Peptide Society in peptides. And having said that, I think I could do the coursework about 10 more times because there's so much to learn. Mm-hmm. And they're very helpful and useful, and they make such a difference in people's lives in a huge way. And the reason I wanted Linda here is she is brilliant with these peptides. She knows far more than I could ever dream of knowing about them. And she is 100% my resource for peptides. And I'll let her tell a little bit about what her background is in all of that. But at any rate, so that's kind of the beginning of peptides for me. But you can tie that in with looking at genes. And we can go into more of that later. But the new age of medicine is becoming much and much more defined. And yes, we can do a lab test. And then the lab test can even tie into how your genes are on or off. And then peptides can make a difference in how you modify your gene expressions. And that's so important to knowing the whole picture in someone's health. And I have to quote, there's a physician that I really love who Linda will probably agree, just has a brilliance around peptides. And I've done a lot of training with him. His name is Dr. William Seeds, and he's part of the International Peptide Society as well. But he is an orthopedic surgeon, and he would tell us that, it's reducing the number of surgery that he's had to actually perform. The peptides are making a difference. And so there are different peptides for different things. And our body has 7,000 peptides, and insulin is considered a peptide. So there's, lots of different peptides that, Linda can start that in a minute where we want to go with that. But so that's kind of my gentle introduction, and my passion in life has been to get people well, non-invasively, and as naturally as possible. And so when you take a look at that, you need to know biochemistry. Lab work is vitally important. And then how you tie that into a peptide and how that can modify and change what's happening in someone's life. And we've got some little case studies that we'll share as well that, will help people understand how that works.
Yeah. And I just have to add that, Lisa, you're so passionate about your commitment to sharing this information that you are where, in Canada?
Actually now I'm in Buffalo. I was in Canada about an hour ago.
Yes.
I'm traveling, and yes, I'm borrowing an office.
Yeah. So you are just in it to win it here. And I want to thank Linda Hayes. Thank you so much for joining us today to be our teacher. Both you, Lisa, and you are teachers, and Lisa's also my co-host, because she'll be able to even ask deeper questions and more. But so share a little bit about your background, Linda, and what led you as a PharmD to take this detour.
It didn't happen overnight. Thanks for having me, also. It didn't happen overnight. I had been working at a couple different independent pharmacies. The last one was primarily compounding. And I was already kind of getting into the more functional wellness approach. And I had a lot of people, it starts personal. They have either a loved one, themselves, they're looking for more answers that mainstream conventional medicine will not help with. So for me, I was young. I was younger, 34, had 2 young kids, and I had a really bad back. And I had like 12 different epidural injections, and I was just done. I didn't want any more needles in my back. I just wanted to heal naturally. So long story short, I found different practitioners to help me heal naturally. I wish these peptides had been around back, 7, 8 years ago. So they would have helped me heal so much quicker. And so when I had started the fellowship in functional medicine through A4M, and that's when I learned about peptides. And I said, oh man, if I had that back then, if I could spread the information, get it out there to help people heal naturally and quicker. That's just amazing. We want to hit the root cause, and peptides are naturally in our body, and as we age, we don't have as much, so we're giving it back. So that's kind of what led me to this route.
Very good. Okay, so with that in mind, we've thrown the word peptide so many different times, and it's like a brand new language for all of us. And that was the one thing I said to you when I saw you. I said, okay, this is like bringing it down to 101.
Yes.
And finding what the benefits are, because we're hearing the word peptides no different than we hear the word, Pokemon. It's like, okay, who made up that name, and where did they come from? And so what is a peptide, and why is it naturally occurring in our body? 7,000 of them. How do you find them?
Well, so peptides, let's break it down a little bit more. You have your simple amino acids. Mm-hmm. Then eventually they fold into a 3D structure called a protein. Before that, you have more linear chains that are the peptides. So peptides in our body, they work as messengers, hormones. Like Lisa said, insulin is a peptide. And now you ask where you find them. One called BPC 157, very common one. It is found in our gut mucosa. So it is great for gut repair. It's one of the only ones you can take orally that helps. You can also do a little sub-Q injection that helps regenerative repair also.
Okay. So when you say you find it in the mucosa, is it like you're finding a needle in a haystack? You're looking for that one peptide in there?
No, it's just in there.
Or is that all a part of a peptide?
Yep. Yep, it's just found in throughout the stomach and the mucosa.
Okay.
And the gut lining.
Okay. And Lisa, at any time, if you want to add to what she says, just let me know. And do you want to add to what she just said about peptides?
There's so much to say about BPC 157. Yes. It's like the first peptide I learned personally, and it helps with inflammation. It helps when there's been an injury. I know this is one that Dr. Heath said that he even uses when he's doing a surgical procedure. He'll inject it right into the area he's working on, and it really helps to heal and enhance the healing process and make the healing time shorter. There's so much to these peptides, and it almost takes an artist's hand to really be intuitive enough to work with a patient and listen, which is critically important, which we don't have in most traditional settings. When you're in an insurance-based, setting, you have about 7 minutes with these patients. Now, we don't do that in our office, and we do take insurance, and we're trying to make this work. It's a bit of a challenge, but we're figuring it out. But you want to take that time, because when you do listen long enough and you pay attention, you can figure out sometimes these combinations that really make a difference.
Okay, so in the meantime, we have PRP. We've heard about PRP. All of a sudden, everybody's getting PRP. Then we hear about stem cells. Everybody's doing stem cells. I know where PRP comes from. I know where stem cells come. They come from our body. They spin it. If they're from us, they spin it. They separate it from the blood, and they know exactly. Okay, this is plasma-rich protein. Okay, now we're going to use it. We're going to put it back in the body. How do you find the peptides, the name of that peptide? This is why I said this is a new language, because I've been looking at, what is this? Okay, the name of the peptide is the PBC 157. So you said it's in the lining of the mucosa. And so what do? Extract the mucosa? Do you draw blood? And how do you do that? What do you do?
That's a really good question. I don't know how they originally, got the particular compound. But what they do is they synthetically make them to be exactly like what's in our body. So it's kind of like the bioidentical hormones.
So this is synthetic.
Yes, but the chemical matches exactly. It's like the bioidentical hormones.
Okay. But they are synthetic. I just want to make sure, because if they're naturally occurring in the body, I was thinking they're just taking it out of our body, spinning it up, and then putting it back in our body.
No, but when it's even though it's synthetic, it is matching exactly what is in our body.
Okay.
And that's what the whole thing with bioidentical hormones. They some are synthetically made, but they're exactly made to fit that receptor, whereas some natural, the yams, that kind of thing, the horse urine, it's in Premarin, that kind of thing, it's not going to fit those receptors, even though it's called natural. So that's a big kind of different way of thinking about hormones and these peptides.
Okay, so when you say synthetic, and now you mentioned, for example, bioidentical hormones that might be made from yams, what are the synthetic, what do they use to make a peptide?
I honestly, that's kind of beyond me.
Oh, okay.
They're made in I really don't know. There's, I've been studying these this past year, and there's so much still to learn, and there's so many coming out, and I don't know the process behind it. I just know more of the clinical aspects. Okay,
but we know that the bioidentical hormones, is it testosterone that's made from yams, or is it progesterone? I know that some of them are made from yam, and so we know it's a plant-based, and that's where they get it from. So I was just curious if it's synthetic. So I didn't know going into it, can you have a natural synthetic or a natural peptide from your own body, put it back into your own body like we use PRP? So it's not that simple. You just, okay. And that's why they're in the internet, right? Because now Okay, so that's a
whole
okay.
another world that we could go into right there.
Yeah, and you have to be really careful about when people are learning about peptides and they see it online. You absolutely don't want to do that, especially right now because it's so on the forefront of medicine. There are people out there trying to make these, and it can be a really bad source. You want to make sure that you're sourcing someone who is certified to make the peptides, because even hormones that are coming from yam, it's made to be like what our body recognizes. All of these have different resources, and the peptides, from what I'm reading, they come from lots of different sources, and all of them have different things that they're done, and then they're made just like bioidentical hormones are made.
Okay.
So they're made to be naturally just like we see in the body. That's how they make them. But people are, I even had a patient call the other day and they found some online, and I said, no, don't do that. They're like even ordering it. It's just, you want to be super, super careful about that stuff.
And we don't know, let alone what the strength concentration is, if it's up to what it is. We don't know the sterility of those if they're going to inject them. So it can be considered dangerous.
Okay, so what we're talking about, the BPC 157 is considered a regenerative.
Yes.
And you had mentioned, Linda, that that it could help with the lining, or that's where we find that particular one in the lining of the mucosa of the stomach.
Yes.
So would you use it when you say you inject it, will it know to go towards that? Or?
Exactly. The body, like Dr.
Really?
Yes. So Dr. C always says the body is so smart. It's complex, but it's smart. So we do like to, when we're doing the injectable, like, for tendonitis in the shoulder, you are going to inject it near that, but it goes to where it needs to go. The body is that smart. More so for oral use, it's going to help the gut and the inflammation in the gut and help clear that. I like to use the injectable more for like regenerative types, like tendonitis, that kind of thing is better.
Okay, so that would be with the PBC. So it's intuitive and it goes to the area.
Yes.
But how much of that is, because I've done classes on, or had teachers about prolotherapy. I've had teachers on PRP. How much of that is re-injuring that area or reactivating that area where the body works naturally to do its thing?
I haven't heard anything about that. Are you talking about because you're injecting it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
prolotherapy is sugar water.
Right.
And so the concept is that it re-injures that area, and the cells in that area kind of like activate, and they become like little Pac-Mans and just do their thing. I mean, that's as technical as I'm going to get on the show.
Sure. So it doesn't really act that way to make it, inject it and then it gets all jumbled or whatever. It just works, and peptides, it's not going to work. One dose is going to cure whatever. We cycle them. We go in 6 weeks. It's just a little sub-Q dose, maybe 0.25 mLs, and so it's the daily, maybe 3 times a day, depending on your protocol. And then the accumulation of the peptide that starts healing that area. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So what are other regenerative peptides that we need to become aware of?
Definitely thymosin beta 4.
Okay.
That is a very good regenerative peptide. We use that as a sub-Q injection also. And Lisa, do you know?
A lot of times that's for injuries. Physicians will use that for injuries, and it kind of depends on what it is and what they're working on. And sometimes they might even combine a PRP treatment with some of these peptides. Again, like I said, some of this is very creative artistry that physicians, practitioners will use. And it really depends on the person and their symptoms and what they've got going on, and they may combine things. And as these peptides, again, are so new, we're learning things that you put together and they work. And you're like, wow, that worked. And then you also have to remember that people are biochemically unique. So what works for one person may not work the same for someone else. And it may depend on what they've got going on or what their biochemistry is like. So it can be different. You should get, I know I'm skipping around, forgive me for that, but I think it's really good to give life examples because people can understand how it works.
Okay.
And if Linda, do you want to talk about Brody and kind of what you did with him? Because it was brilliant. And it made such a big difference in his life.
Sure.
I mean, you should tell the story because this may relate to somebody else who's got a similar story.
Yes, and I'm very passionate about talking that. To close up the regenerative real quick, I love to combine BPC 157 and Thymosin beta 4. Those two together, just little sub-Q injections, it can make a really big difference in 6 weeks. For anybody going through tendonitis, it can really help that inflammation and healing, speed that up. Okay. So moving on to, this would be more of your neurological peptides, neurocognitive peptides, and kind of a long story. This is actually my son. He was 10 last year, and so he was basically diagnosed with ADHD when he was 7, and we started, the stimulants when he was 8, and so he was doing okay on them, and then he hit 10, and he just got kind of sad and depressed on it. It wasn't working. He was on Focalin, those made him tired and depressed. Now, so we tried Adderall, and this is a year ago. I'm going through the fellowship. I'm just, the word peptides like this just came. What's that? Okay, and so and then I kept saying, I'm going to treat him. I'm going to do all these tests, and I said, Mom can't treat their own son. They can't treat their kids. They just don't listen. And so I went to another doctor, Dr. Spar, here in town. So what we did is we did a bunch of tests. We did some blood work, genetics. I did a test for, it's called SIBO. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but it's small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. Yeah. Of course, he had that. And so it was a combination of things, and we probably hit about 9 months. The results, basically, I go back. So the results, so my son has a genetic mutation, the MTHFR 677. And so that is significantly associated with ADHD. And I have one. So
I think I have that gene.
What's that?
I think I have that gene.
I know I have one, so I'm a little hyper, but I can focus.
Yeah, I've got the MTHFR on both sides of my family.
So
that explains why I can do 10 things at one time.
Yes, sometimes, yeah.
Genius.
So with that, he actually, so the MTHFR, I'm not sure how much the audience knows, but that changes your just folic acid into your active folic acid. Okay. So we found out that he had a super low folic acid level through his blood work, and basically almost non-existent. So with that being said, he could not make his neurotransmitters. And he also had a couple other genetic mutations with COMT that dumped his dopamine, his feel-good neurotransmitter, focused neurotransmitter, dumped it right into norepinephrine. So he was more like this puppy. Love me, and then the kids are like, oh, at 7 and 8, like, whoa, calm down. And then his grades were kind of, so that's when we started the ADHD medicine. But now with him, being sad or whatever, we had to get to the root cause.
Sure.
And so it took about 9 months when we were cleaning up his gut with the SIBO, doing different supplements for that, and getting him on a good multivitamin and the active folic acid. And it's tough to get a 10-year-old kid, all of a sudden, he can swallow pills, thank goodness. But, so we had to kind of slowly implement them in. Now he knows he has to take them. And the peptides, they don't necessarily take the place of doing all the functional medicine, or it's an additional tool. Okay. So the first peptides we tried, these are 2 neurological peptides, and you can use them as a nasal spray. So for kids, it's big. They're not going to do a sub-Q injection. So we started with C-Lonk. Okay. C-Lonk is great for kids for focus. It also helps with some anxiety. And
C-Lank, that's S as in Sam, E, L as in love, A as in apple, N as in Nancy, K as in kangaroo.
Exactly.
I hope I spelled kangaroo right. Okay. So, okay.
Yes. So we did that. I believe we did it 5 days out of a week. Mm-hmm. And then we did it for 2 weeks. The protocol, and I think that people are still playing with the protocols. so we, at that point, this is probably back in May, it was to do 2 weeks of a loading dose like that, and then go to every third day, just one nasal spray. Well, that was not good enough with the teachers. So we added, it's another peptide. It's called CMAX.
Okay.
So, and that's SEMAS. Mm-hmm. And so it's another neuropeptide. I think some people get those two confused a little. They act a little differently. C-LONC is more for like anxiety. But the two combination like that, we did C-LONC Monday and Wednesday, CMAX Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. And so that worked pretty well. And after I had gone to the second annual conference for the Peptide Society in August, I had met, this guy was brilliant. He'd worked with autistic kids for 20 years. I was talking to him as much as I could just to learn anything. And he's been working with peptides for 10 years. Okay. So, and he wasn't even a doctor. He's a traumatic brain specialist. So okay. He knew the brain. He said, look, try dihexa cream on your son. And that is actually considered more like even a potent neurological peptide. But we tried 5 milligrams. It's in a cream. And it's 5 milligrams. And I rub it on his neck every morning.
And that's a peptide.
It is a peptide, yes.
Okay.
And so here's the thing with the dihexa too. It works with, it's called the gene is the brain derived neurotropic factor. So it's BDNF. And come to find out, as soon as I learned about that, I went and looked up my son's genes. He has a genetic mutation at that one too. So all these things kind of come together why he was not able to focus and having issues. So dihexa, that peptide specifically, it works on BDNF tenfold, in addition to other things in the brain. But that right there, just putting my son on it, I mean, he's 90% a different kid than a year ago. I mean, he can focus. He doesn't get 99% on his exams. He gets 95%. I mean, what else can you ask? I feel like he's more of a normal boy. It's
topical, so it doesn't go through his digestive system and causes other issues like depression. Right. And the worst case scenario would be a rash, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've never had that. Yeah, any kind of topical, yeah.
Okay, so I've got a bajillion questions right now because, my registered service mark is you can take a pill, you can take responsibility. First of all, congratulations for thinking outside the box. I think it's wonderful. Unfortunately, I wasn't as creative when my son was diagnosed with ADHD. I believed everything that my doctor was telling me, which is why I'm so passionate towards saying, take ownership of your life, do your own research, make your own decision with facts, not feelings.
Yes.
So with that in mind, anytime we put anything on our body, whether it's topical or it's an injection or an oral, anytime you put something in your body, there are side effects.
Yes.
Whether it's a rash for a topical thing, but you're putting on things that are synthetic. You're putting things on that are not of your body, right? So let's, with that in mind, with the research that they've done, what are some of the side effects? Because, sometimes things are harmless and then we find out 20 years from now that, oh my God, you shouldn't have done that. So let's talk about the research, especially because as I'm listening to you and I'm looking at this dihexa, they're finding this effective in Alzheimer's patients as well.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so let's talk about side effects and let's talk about the long-term use.
It's new. I don't know many side effects of it. And
I haven't heard any either. None yet.
Not yet.
So then my next question is, because I am very curious. So if you are administering this and it's topically, which I think it's brilliant, then what are some markers? What are some markers that whether or not this is working or not working? Because I'm sure you're testing your son in different ways, right?
So honestly, for this particular one, we're going off behavior, reports.
Okay.
So that's how we're doing this, and just seeing how much happier and focused and how basically his, how he's feeling. So there's other markers for other peptides, but this one, it's just basically based on behavior.
Okay. So Lisa, is there anything you'd like to add about story?
I was just going to point out one of the things that Linda said is that they first worked on cleaning up his gut.
Yes.
And across the board, for I think almost all health issues, I think immunity and so much of our body's reactions to things, it starts with the gut. And I think it's vital that we pay attention to that. And what I see with peptides, again, it's new, but it is like bioidentical hormones, most like what your body already has. The peptides go in and they get your body to do what it's supposed to do. And that's a simplistic way to present it. And I think it is different with different people. And I think you start low and go slow. I mean, that's just kind of the theme with peptides. There's lots of doctors have been using way more than we've used, and they have a lot more experience. And that's why we keep going to conferences and trying to learn and educate ourselves. So, even the number of peptides we're talking about today is a fraction,
yes.
out there. Just a fraction.
Just a fraction. I know. So first
we're taking kids off Adderall. Yay.
Yeah, that's so important. And that's what I love about, I love about that. But again, I'm not going to make a big fuss out of, an overdose of vitamin C when it's diarrhea versus an overdose of Adderall could be death,
Right.
So, we have to put it in perspective. But the trials and Lisa, I'm sure both you and Linda and Lisa, I'm sure have looked at the trials and what made you say, okay, I'm curious enough to say this is safe. There's a lot of research as well, with hormone growth, the HGH. That leads to cancer. Has there been any link with peptides and cancer?
I haven't read any yet, Linda. I don't know about you. We have monographs on, I guess we could send, I don't know, Linda, do you have all the monographs?
I think we need to do Peptides 102.
Yes,
there are monographs that reference all of these things that you can get. If you can go to the International Peptide Society's website, and they have all the monographs that gives all the studies, all the background, probably more than some of those. I don't even understand them because they're beyond my educational level. But they give a lot of information, and people can go in and read those and then make a decision if it's something that's right for them. And work with a practitioner that knows what they're doing.
For sure. So also, there's some peptides that are actually drugs, like in Europe. So there are more studies on some of those. And I think they're still engaging in more studies.
So Europe is way far advanced than we are. Yeah. So that's a little bit more assuring. So to know, so this has been around for a while in Europe. This is new to the United States.
Yes.
Not surprised. So I want to remind all of you who are in the audience interacting. I love all the messages, all the love that you're sending. Make sure you share this. I want to encourage you that if you have a question for either Linda or Lisa, type in a Q, write your question, and we'll address it during the classroom. And so this is like learning a new language. Names like PBC 157 does not, why couldn't they call it Lily or, orange or something like that? That's easy.
I've asked that question sometimes. So.
BBC 157 is like, whoa. Okay, that's why I said this is kind of like very foreign. And I know that I'm asking a lot of questions. And for those of you who have, your own questions, please, because this is our classroom where we learn and grow together. And so that this doesn't happen by myself. We have sponsors, just like Lisa Geyer of Liberty Health Share, who are helping me grow in so many different ways. They're helping you as well, kind of look beautiful on the inside as you are on the outside. I know that Lisa has been doing some peptides, and she has released quite a bit of weight. So I want to talk about the peptides versus the hormone replacement therapy, how similar they are, because I know that that's something that you're considering, Lisa, at Live Longer Medical. Live Longer Medical is one of our sponsors in the Lillian McDermott radio show, so Classroom. And I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please subscribe while you're there, so that way you'll know exactly who's going to be in the classroom, all the links to their websites, and that way you don't have to ask, who are we talking to? What are we talking about? You got it before anybody else does. You also get free gifts, discounts. So it is to your best interest to become a subscriber at whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, check out my social media, like, follow, ask questions, or maybe suggest different topics so that we can learn and grow together. While you're there, as I said, this information is not readily available. All you get is fear, fear, fear. If you take vitamin C, fear, fear, fear. But go ahead and take oxycodone. The messages are so discombobulated that we need a safe place where you can go to, where you can take ownership. You can do the research, or we can do the research together. And so I want to encourage you, while you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, to click on that sponsorship button. And of course, that's where Live Longer Medical and all the information for Live Longer Medical, they're in Indiana Atlantic, Florida, at 102 Fifth Avenue and in Indiana Atlantic. But you can call them to schedule an appointment if you'd like, if you want to learn more about peptides, because 101 was not enough. You can go to 327-2980. That's 327-2980. So I am all about learning more about these peptides, but there's also other ways that we can grow and learn more, as with the sponsors that we have, like, for example, Liberty Health Share, which completely changes our perspective on insurance, and you start working as a community, health sharing community. Keep Me Safe Organics, which we talk about how topicals can be absorbed in the body, but how much makeup and chemicals that you put on your body that are destroying some of the benefits from eating well or being hydrated and exercising. Keep Me Safe Organics is all organic, non-synthetic, kind of like a bioidentical hormone, huh, Lisa? And so it's one of those things where if you are a member, you can get 10% off your entire purchase, and that's a gift from me. First Alternative Care, which is just unbelievable, non-urgent, 24/7 non-urgent care, dermatology, and 3 hours a year of behavioral health counseling for the entire household for $45 a month. And a household can be a visiting friend. So check him out as well. Dr. Stephen Grable, who's in Jacksonville, Florida. He's integrative, holistic, alternative, and complementary. So regardless of whether you love Eastern or Western or integrate both, he's your guy up in Jacksonville, and worth the trip for many of you. Jacksonville, Florida. The pharmacy in Merritt Island does also compounding for not only you, but also your fur-legged friends. And of course, Live Longer Medical, who they're not just a sponsor, Lisa. You've become a dear friend of mine, and I'm so grateful for your support. And finally, you too can become an enrolled student. So if you want to help contribute towards the classroom, be my guest. You can click on there and figure out different ways that you can help as well, whether it's your time, your talent, or your treasure. So today we're talking about peptides, and as you can tell, I have got a bajillion questions. So let's start from the very beginning. For those of you who've just joined us, if you have any questions, you can type in a Q and write your question down, and I'll either have Lisa or Linda answer your question. So thank you, ladies, for this conversation. Basic, so that we can decide, are we curious enough? Does this make sense? So when we talk about peptides, and as I'm learning about peptides, I want to ask as many questions, but there's so much more that we don't know. For example, Alzheimer's and peptides. So can you dive into that, Lisa or Linda?
Well, I'll kind of start it out, just that I kind of want to go back a little bit. Whenever you're looking at creating a treatment plan for anyone, it is about their biochemistry. It's about their symptoms, their biochemistry, lab testing, and how you put all that together is just a synergy and a symphony, basically, for that patient. But as it relates to Alzheimer's, you could look at a bazillion things. You can do a heavy metal test and find that someone's got mercury off the charts, and then you can look at their genetic testing and they've got all the right genes to have a propensity for that. So when you see those kinds of things, then you need to look for, those treatments that would, turn those genes off or make a difference in if they're already in a state of Alzheimer's. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stories about people that have been diagnosed with that, and then when they dig a little deeper, it's a bacteria. It's not Alzheimer's. It's something else.
That's
right. So, you want to take the time to know what's going on, get to the root of it. And I think that's what we do at Live Longer Medical. And that's what Linda's done with her son. She took the time to figure out, why is he having these symptoms, and start to clean those things up. But now, Linda, you're better with this Alzheimer's, genetic expressions.
Can I just add something really quick, Linda?
Sure.
What I was shocked is that 70% of people who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia do not have it. Like Lisa said, there's something else. 70%, only 30. And the only way you know whether it's true Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever, is to cut into the brain. And well, that's not a good test while you're alive. So if we could say 30% of people actually diagnosed have it, then perhaps maybe checking the gut, like you're saying, Lisa, that is so crucial. Let's not just treat let's not treat the symptom like the diagnosis, and that's the end all be all.
Right.
Okay. So is there anything else you'd like to add, Linda, about that?
Yes, definitely. I think a lot of Alzheimer's comes down to mold toxicity or heavy toxic metals. And honestly, right now, my mom is going to see a practitioner. She has been struggling with her memory for a while. And I think she has a mold toxicity problem because she has a breathing kind of issue that goes along with mold toxicity. So she's been checked out. She hasn't been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. They say it's her depression. Well, okay, let's fix this. The gut. Yeah. But any of that, and it's usually never just one thing. So to add to yours. So.
Yes, and so okay, so 102, 103. Talking about peptides, we can go deeper into that as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about immunity. I was today at Live Longer Medical getting my IV treatment of vitamin C, enjoying all the people there. And so let's talk about immunity and what helps with peptides.
So
okay.
The big immunity peptide 101 would be thymosin alpha 1. Anybody with any kind of autoimmune disease can benefit from that. There's essentially no side effects. No one's reported any. It can actually kind of pull out. So Lyme's disease, we go to talk about Lyme's disease. It can actually make Lyme's disease visible because it's very hard. Sometimes Lyme's disease is very hard to test for. So they'll use it for influenza instead of the Tamiflu,
or using a flu shot vaccine.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. So, and they will also sometimes they'll if you want to. Sometimes they'll. I've heard of some patients taking it all throughout the winter to not get sick, or when they travel, because a lot of people get sick, on those planes and traveling.
Yeah, and my daughter was just diagnosed with mono, so I just ordered the Thymosin for her because I'm going to start her on it right away because over the years, since I've seen patients with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and different types of autoimmune disease, they almost always either had a flu that never went away, they had mono that just never really went away. So I'm trying to boost her immunity with that. So we're doing that. We're doing vitamin C. We're doing, the monolaurin, all the things that you would do as an antiviral, but then we're boosting it with this Thymosin. She's starting on that tomorrow. So, there are a lot of uses for it. It just kicks the immunity in the butt, gets it going. So that's kind of what you want when you've got something big going on like that.
It's like some cheerleaders. It joins forces with our body and doubles the force. Okay, so it sounds great. So, you go from the PBC 157 to thymosin beta 4. So that's another language that we need to be created. Okay, so then what else? Or is that thymosin alpha 1? What is that one?
That's the immune.
That's immune. The 4 is for
restoring.
For restore.
They're both immune peptides. The thymosin beta 4 is more for regenerative, that kind of part of the immune system, where the thymosin alpha 1 is more for, boosting that immune system.
Yes. Okay.
Not as much for repair.
Okay. So Jessica said adrenal health. So thank you so much, Jessica, for watching today. Kai and let's see who else is there. Now, if I don't respond to your question, it's because I could not see it. Sometimes those questions don't show up. I don't know why yet, but I will, before we leave the classroom, I'll make sure I scan real quickly. Okay, so earlier I said that little Miss Lisa started doing peptides for weight loss, and is it healthier than the other options where people are starving themselves? How similar is it to HGH? Can you share a little bit about that, Lisa?
I'm going to let Linda speak to the mechanism. She's better at that. But I can tell you I started on it because I was just getting in a fog, and I'm looking at my own biochemistry, and I'm trying to figure out, what do I need right now? I had a huge amount of stress over the last 3 months, and I've hit the point where I said, I'm just not going to let it get to me. That's a piece of how you address those issues in your life. But secondly, I could just see my energy starting to wane, and I had gained some weight from all the cortisol when you're stressed out. And again, I'm saying all this stuff because there's so much to look at someone's health. It's not just here's a one size fits all remedy. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Anyone who tells you that one size fits all, pretty much walk away, because everybody's an individual. It's just like saying there are 10 snowflakes that are exactly alike.
But so there's combinations of peptides that help with weight loss. They help with energy. They help with mood, and they also kind of get the body to start creating those anti-aging hormones that it should be creating. And there's lots of ways to do that. So I just chose, just from research, from being in this industry, from looking at my own health and things that were going on. So I'm taking what's called CJC 1295 with ipamorelin.
Yeah, very easy to remember. Yeah, it's like Jingleheimer Smith.
Right.
No, listen, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I still have to look at how to spell it. So, it is one of those.
CJC 1295 ipamorelin.
So, Linda, can you give a little umph to how those two work? You're better at that part.
So, you mentioned human growth hormone, HGH. Technically, that's not really, you have to have a diagnosis. So unless you have a diagnosis of adults, whatever it's called, where you don't make enough HGH and you're having issues, and you have to have a specific diagnosis, a specific IGF and other different diagnostics. So it's technically illegal. Now, I know some prescribers are doing that, but technically it could cause some problems.
Yes.
Whereas the CJC 1295 and the ipamorelin, they are kind of downstreams of the HGH hormone. And so what they don't cause the rise in cortisol. They don't cause the other side effects that HGH can.
Okay.
So, and so it's basically the CJC 1295 and ipamorelin. They are increasing growth hormone that way.
Okay.
So, and by that, so if you were, anytime you increase growth hormone, you're going to get some anti-aging effects, right? So just by doing one little sub-Q shot before bedtime can help boost that growth hormone during your sleep and help repair. Now, if you want to use it more for weight loss, you're going to have to use it more. So really you should use it 3 times a day. And we take 2 days off. So Monday through Friday, you're going to do 1 injection 3 times a day. And you want to really be at a fasted state. It works best at a fasted state. So
First thing in the
So
morning.
are you intermittent? Is that an intermittent fasting thing that you're doing, Lisa?
You can do it with that. You know, I mean, that's what I do. That just works for me. That doesn't work for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And like you can do things to boost it, like after you work out and you haven't eaten, that's a great time to give an injection. If you really can, get up in the morning, you're already fasted, do your exercising, cardio, whatever, and then do your injection.
Now that's what I do. And
yes,
I do a workout.
That maximizes. There's ways to maximize, how this is done.
Okay, so
there's another peptide, Lily, that ties into this a little bit. And Linda, we forgot to even bring this up, and it's brand new, and I can't remember the name of it.
I'm shocked that you can't remember the name because they flow so well off your tongue.
But it's the one that increases the collagen 80%, and it's reducing wrinkles. And the plastic surgeons are using it. They're even using it in.
Are you talking about the Botox-like cream?
Yeah, I think
topical.
No, it's not topical. It's a new one that just, it's on the International Peptide Society website.
It's not the 5 amino for weight loss?
That's a new one that's very cool too.
Yes,
we're going to get flooded with calls after that one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of seeing that one. They're saying a pound a day weight loss. And I hate to tell patients that because you can't guarantee it, number one, because
right.
people eating McDonald's all day long. But, they're seeing the results of another new peptide that's oral and it's injectable. And that one's so spanking brand new, it's hard to get. So.
Okay. So I know that we're almost at the end of the class here. Ooh, yeah. And I know time has gone flying by, learning a new language. Lisa, I know that this is something that we already discussed. They should not buy online because can you imagine injecting this into your body? Some of these are injectables. Some of them are nasal sprays, some of them are topical. So with that in mind, let's just talk about Live Longer Medical at India Atlantic. What is the cost associated with this? Is it really expensive?
It varies. Some of the peptides are anywhere, Linda, you can know, $150 to $300 a month, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the lowest cost is. And, remember, not all of these are something you do forever. Yes. It depends on what's going on and what you need. But it's more like what your body recognizes. It gives a more natural healing, a more natural response for the body to do what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the range. And it also depends on your practitioner. Yeah. Some practitioners are selling them in their office. So, I cannot emphasize enough that you make sure it's someone that is reputable and they've been certified and their sterile technique and all those things are done properly. That's critically important.
Very.
Okay. So with that in mind, we are at the end of the classroom. I've got a hard out or else we could talk forever on this peptides. We definitely have to have a follow-up 102, Peptides 102, and we didn't even dip the toe. This is new in the United States, but obviously in Europe, they've been doing this, which I am not surprised, for much longer than they have done it here. There is research, and you said, Lisa, that people can go to the society, the Peptide Society, to learn more?
Well, you can look at Linda, they let anyone look at those monographs, don't they? The monographs?
I don't think so. I think you have to sign up to be a member.
Oh my.
Okay. Well,
you need to speak with your practitioner and they can get a monograph. I mean, I can get monographs for patients too.
And you can call Live Longer Medical and ask Lisa at 321-327-2980. Loving all the hearts, loving all the emojis that are floating everywhere. I want to thank you all for being a part of the classroom today. Normally we have the theme song going. We're not doing that today, but I will say that a part of the end when is that you need to make the right decision for you. Research this. Anything that you do, ask your a professional, a medical professional or a practitioner who can help guide you. And again, you need to go to the people who do know about peptides and look and insist on the quality. The quality that you use, Lisa, how long did it take you to find this particular quality?
You mean the peptides?
Yeah, for the peptides.
Oh, that came from attending conferences and meetings and, getting to know Linda. She's a perfectionist, and I know what she's doing is done really well. And
the IPS accredited ones.
Right.
Yes.
If you go through International Peptide Society, they have accredited pharmacies, and
Wonderful.
you can look at that list for one in your area.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast today, and for all of you teachers' pets that joined us at Lillian's radio show. Make sure you spread the word, like us, follow us, share this, and invite your friends to be a part of this classroom, because this is where we learn and grow together, and we take ownership of our life, spirit, mind, and body. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott, Lisa Geyer, and Linda Hayes wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. There we go. Good job. Okay, so this is where the podcast ends, and YouTube and Facebook continues. Obviously, we have got to do we have to do another class. We just dipped our toe today. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge. And I want to know what the synthetic products they use for the peptides. So maybe that is what our next 102 is, right?
We can dig into that.
We can dig into that. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Please help us grow by sharing this link below. So we'll see you soon. Say bye-bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you
Thanks so much.